Hi, my name is Tina. I'm head of design of Victoria Designs, and if you're watching this video, it means we have a new junk journal project pack for you. A junk journal project pack is a digital pack that contains every printable you need to make a specific junk journal. And the one I'm going to show to you today is really close to my heart. A gratitude journal. Myself, I started a gratitude journal over a month ago, and I must say it changes how you perceive things so incredibly much. It's very simple. Every night before going to sleep, I write down 10 things I'm really grateful for, and I write them with intention. And that's it. But this way, you're going to start to see the little things, the seemingly insignificant things, and discover how insanely valuable they are. Not a little bit. Insanely much. Now, you can definitely do this in a regular notebook, but we like to make some beautiful designs for this to make the experience all the more special for yourself or for a friend. Enjoy! And in this video I'm going to show you the Greenery Gratitude Junk Journal Project Pack. This pack looks a bit different and a bit more modern than our usual designs. The designs are more minimal but feature beautiful greenery illustrations as well as geometrical art. And the best of all, this journal is set up to be turned into a functional gratitude journal. Although most of the printables you can easily use for other crafting projects as well. When you purchase this project pack, you will get 24 journal pages, 4 sheets with embellishments, 4 sheets with question cards and 8 vertical papers. And of course, I'm going to show you how to put this journal together from scratch. This journal is bound with the well-known Coptic stitch, and I will show you all the steps from start to finish. You can discover this Greenery Gratitude Junk Journal project pack in our shop, the link is below. And now I'm going to show you how to make this journal. So to start, I am not going to start with the cover this time, but I'm going to start with the signatures first. The whole journal is going to be different from the journals that I made before. For example, I didn't print these journal pages on 80 grams paper, what I normally do, but on 160 grams paper. This way these are sturdier, the quality will be great, and this makes for 6 signatures instead of the usual 3. So there are 24 journal pages. I printed them at 100% size on one side on all 160 grams paper, or something near that, of course. And then on the other side I printed all 24 pages again, but at 102%. So when I cut out the front, I won't have any white edges because most printers shift a bit, even the most professional ones. So this way you kind of fake a bleed here. So, and when I printed these out, I cut them out. So normally these have a border and I cut them all out. I printed them as I would have liked them. So I like them a bit mixed up with each other. And I also made 6 piles of 4 pages each. And the next thing to do is to fold them in half as neatly as you can. You're going to find out that heavier paper really makes it harder to fold the paper. So a bone folder like this or something else that looks like it can really help here and save your fingers. Actually, I shouldn't be doing this on the other papers. Don't do that. Do it somewhere on a protected surface. Okay, so I'm going to fold all these 6 signatures in half, or I'm going to fold all these 6 piles in half, which means they magically become signatures. Okay. So I now have 6 beautiful signatures, and I piled them in the order that I want them to be in the journal. What you can now do is trim these edges with a heavy-duty craft knife and the metal ruler and make sure these are more flush. Now, these are pretty okay, I think. But as you can see, if you fold papers in half, you always going to end up with some papers that stick out and papers that are not. Now actually I think this looks pretty okay, but I'm going to quickly put them under my heavy duty guillotine trimmer to really make this as flush as possible. So these are now nice and flat. I literally cut off a 1/16 of an inch from the edge, that's all. If you do this with a craft knife and a ruler, please take your time, be patient to really do this neatly. And that is why I started with this book with the pages and not with the cover. Because for this book, I want the cover to be the same width as the paper. Normally my covers are a little bit larger, wider than my pages. Now that is perfectly fine. But just for this sake, I want it to be like exactly the same. So I'm going to measure now. It should be indeed, yeah, I'm going to make my covers a 1/16 of an inch less wide than 5 inches. And the height is normally the same, like 7 3/4. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's okay if it's a little bit larger, but normally my covers are like 1/4 of an inch larger. And I'm not going to do that here. I know the size for my cover piece, and now I'm going to cut 2 cover pieces out of cardboard, like sturdy cardboard that are exactly the width and the height of these pages. So I cut 2 pieces of that size. Now I'm using 2mm cardboard, like this is really, really thick stuff. That is so not necessary. I just chose it for the aesthetic of this kind of book, but really you can use normal cardboard. You can even use box cardboard that you glued a few layers on top of each other and then trimmed the sides, because you're not going to see any of this anymore when I'm ready with it. Okay, and the next thing to do is to cover these covers. And to do that, I printed 2 times a paper from the paperback section. You can go and look in the paperback section of your specific junk journal project pack. Of course, I chose these. Now, you can say, hey, they're not full size. Well, I like to save on ink. So I measured what the height was that I needed. So I would have the most of these embellishments at the sides on there as well. Of course, I'm not going to be able to have everything because I need some paper to actually fold over the cover piece, this cardboard piece. Now, I, for 2 seconds, forgot that I am using like really thick cardboard. So I measured it, the height, the size, that I would have just about enough to have 1 tape of design left. Now, of course, I'm gonna need a little bit more, but that's okay. I'm gonna leave a little bit of the white on top and at the bottom, because you're not going to see it anyway. Okay, so now I'm going to cut these papers to size so that I have like 1/2 inch on each side left. So that means that I have enough for the width of this tape, plus I have more than enough for also covering these sides, because this is significantly wide. You can adjust these measurements to any size of journal that you want to make. So I'm not gonna add and subtract and start with 1/16. That's okay, I'm gonna think this is 5. So I went 1/2 inch on each side, which comes to 6. And the length is 7 3/4, plus 1/2 inch on each side is 8 3/4. So I'm gonna cut 8 3/4 by 6 each. So I cut my 2 pieces to size. And you see on the top and the bottom I have white left, but you won't see it in the end at all. So I'm gonna show you how I cover one piece. It's the way I usually do it. So viewers who know our stuff by now will know exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to add some double-sided tape all along the edges of the cardboard. Now, you can easily use just glue all over as well. This is just the way I like to do it. Then I'm going to remove these backings. That's what I love about double-sided tape. This will be sticky next day. I think. I've never tried it, but I think it won't dry out. As with glue, you have like seconds to actually put something down. Like with some glues you have minutes, but with some glues you have literally seconds, like with this one. This is a heavy-duty glue stick that I love to use because it's quick and it doesn't smell, etc. But I have to be so quick. Now, make sure I make journals pretty quickly, and I got some here, but that's perfectly okay. This, and then I'm going to put this in the center of my page. Okay, straight as possible. And then I'm going to cut corners here, like I usually do, but because I used this white cardboard, I'm going to actually leave like a 2 millimeter gap here for now. If you have thinner cardboard, 1 millimeter is enough, like a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, there. And I like to make my cuts as straight as possible. So this is completely straight, and then a little bit like this. Not too much like this, because then part will probably not be covered here. And you want to cover everything neatly, you know. So it's best to cut as, not straight of course, but fairly straight. More straight than not straight. Okay, let's see if, oh, I didn't really leave a lot here. Okay, we'll see. There's always tricks to fix. There's always tricks to fix. Okay, good. I'm going to pre-fold these now. Oh, by the way, I printed these on 160 grams as well. So 160 grams all around. I use that weight a lot, and I just ordered 3 new packages of paper. Okay, and then I'm going to add tape, or you can use glue of course, to these tabs, these 4 tabs, but make sure to tape, because my tape is significantly smaller than this, but make sure to add your tape against the cardboard and not against the edge of the tab. So as close as possible to the cardboard. Yeah. So, and do that on all 4 sides. Yeah, when I cut my tape at an angle, the same angle as the tab, of course, the leftover on the tape has an angle as well, and then I can use this one. So I don't have to waste any pieces of tape. Yeah. Okay. Now you can remove all this tape and then add an extra layer on top to cover these sides, but actually you don't have to do that at all. So, but what's good to do is press this so the glue really sticks to your paper. Okay, I like to start the short ones and then add the long ones. You can do as you like yourself. So, and now really stick it to the side of these this cardboard and fold over. And because the cardboard and the paper are so heavy, I really like to use my bone folder here, especially for the sides right now, so they are really beautiful. I am not kidding, this is so satisfying. Okay, so one side down, next short side. Okay, fold, like really use your muscles. This is fitness. Okay. Okay. Then the long sides. first against the edge and then fold over. So satisfying. Last one. Okay. So, and then for the inside, I printed this paper. Now I only printed one paper because the pattern can be used all around. So in this format and in this format. So I'm gonna cut 2 out of 1 paper, score. So, but obviously if you like to use a paper that has a vertical layout, you can easily reduce the print percentage again, and of course save the rest of the paper. I save most of my large paper pieces and cardboard pieces in scrap bins. And I actually use some of those scraps like on a daily basis. So now I'm going to measure. I want 1/8 of an inch border on each side. So 1/8 of an inch on each side means 1/4 of an inch smaller on the width and the length. So the width and the length was 7 3/4, so that's 7.5. And the width was 1/16 less than 5, so it's going to be 1/16 less than 4 3/4. When you're using centimeters, just make sure that you have like 2 or 3 millimeter a border all around. That's about 1/8 of an inch. So I cut my insides. I'm going to save one for the other cover. This one's going to go in here, really easy. Tape on the sides, glue in the center, or glue everywhere as you like. But make sure whichever adhesive you use that it comes like right to the edge. So the edges will be glued down properly. Yeah, when you have like these lumps of glue, make sure to spread them out, because otherwise you're going to have a lump under your paper and you don't want that. So now perfectly in the center. If you like to make a more shabby or vintage looking journal, you can ink these edges first for the inside cover before gluing it down. So, and this is my first cover, and I'm going to prepare the other piece exactly the same. So I finished both covers. So this is the front cover, my 6 signatures, and this is going to be the back cover. When you assemble these, always make sure everything is facing the right side up. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to punch holes in the front and back cover, and also in the center of all these signatures. In the cover, I want my holes to be 1/2 inch or about a centimeter, 12 millimeter, you choose, from the side. Normally I would measure on the back so that you would see my pencil marks less. But when I'm going to poke my holes, I want to go outside in, because if you do it like this, the holes will be a lot neater. You can always erase pencil marks. So I'm going to draw a line. No, I'm going to make marks on the top and the bottom, near the top and the bottom, at 1/2 inch or the width that you have chosen. Like if you work with centimeters, a centimeter is of course a lot more easy to work with than 12 millimeter. So, and I'm going to connect these 2 marks with a soft line. There. And where you would like your holes to be is completely up to you. Like, it will work every time. So of course, use at least 4 holes. I'm going to make 6. And what I'm going to do is I want to start 1 inch from the side. So I'm going to make a mark here. And then I'm going to choose 7/8 of an inch further. And then another 7/8 of an inch further. That's just what I like with this length of journal cover. And for the centimeter uses, 7/8 of an inch is about 22 millimeter. So I'm gonna do exactly the same from this side. So first mark 1 inch from the side, and then 7/8 of an inch further, and then again 7/8 of an inch further. So here are my marks, and now I am going to poke some holes. I'm just saying I have a really inexpensive awl, but if you're using like this width of cardboard, this is really heavy, a needle won't do. Normally I say, yeah, you can do it with a regular needle, but that's not going to cut it if you choose to use this this type of board of cardboard. So really going in there. And you see the back side is always a little bit less beautiful. What you can do, of course, is also wait to poke the holes first before adding this page, and then poke back on the other side. But it's okay. This is handwork. This is not machine made. This is made with pure love, not with machines. Okay, with maybe a few tools. Okay, on the back, I'm just going to smooth this out just a little bit, just flatten this. Okay. Now, I'm going to erase the marks that I made. A tip, really use a good eraser and a good pencil. And I'm gonna do exactly the same with the other cover. So I punched holes in the other cover as well. And really, I must say, I talk a lot when I'm explaining what I'm doing for you, but I did this in less than 2 minutes. I mean, the measuring and the hole punching, it's so quick once you know what to do. And of course, now we also want holes in our signatures. Here, we're not going to put the holes 1/2 inch from the side. We're going to actually put the holes in the center of each signature at the same height. Now, I see that, yeah, I made my covers a little bit larger, higher than my signature. This is gonna happen more. So instead of measuring, just use this as a template. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put my mat down. Then I am going to put my signature down. Make sure that I can see where the center is. This. Then I'm going to use this one as a template. And because I know it's a bit higher, a bit larger than my signature, I'm going to make sure it's in the center. So there's like a 1/16 of an inch on each side, like big millimeter. You don't have to be like right next to the fold. You can have a little bit of room. And I'm going to use my other cover as a guide. So I'm going to line up the bottom, like squarely with the bottom of this, next to this hole, a bit more like here. And then when I punch my hole right here, it's going to be perfect. Gonna do the same, just going to slide this along. I'm going to do the same with all 6 other signatures. If you're really sure, you can definitely stack 2 or 3 signatures on top of each other. I'm not going to do that. Okay, there. Same on the other side. And this way you have an excellent guide where the holes should come without having to measure or make extra pencil marks. There. Perfect holes. Now what you can do is use this as a template, so put this underneath and poke through here, but then you have to be really sure these are lined up, the centers are lined up together. So I am just going to make sure all my signatures have the right holes by using the method I just explained. So I have here my front cover, my back cover, all the signatures in the right order, not upside down, of course, as I want to make it. And now it is time to sew these pages. Okay, I'm going to start by taking off, so this is the front, and I only want to keep the bottom cover, so the back cover, and the last signature, and the rest I'm going to take, flip upside down because I'm gonna use them like this, and put them aside. I'm gonna start with these 2, and I will need some thread. This is cotton thread. There are tutorials that use a double thread. I'm keeping it simple and just use a single thread. Now for the length. For this book, as I'm going to make it right now, normally I have enough with 60 inch. So that is 5 times this ruler, 2, 3, 4, and 5. A bit extra, you never know. Probably gonna have too much left. Now, this is quite a thread to work with. I can do that. I don't have a problem with that. If you like to work with the shorter thread, you can easily put that in half, but then halfway you will have to make a knot and start with a new thread. So I have this needle here. Let me put this away. This is a regular embroidery needle. This has a fairly sharp point, but that's not necessary at all. Gonna thread it through this. Okay. And then make a knot on the other side. I'm gonna make a double knot just in case. I know myself. Now I know this knot isn't gonna go through there, but just to be like super sure. Okay. Yeah, you can make the knot fairly close to the end because you will not need this afterwards. Okay, and then to start, open your last signature in half and then go through the first hole inside out. This. Yeah, oh yeah, maybe the holes aren't quite big enough for your scissors, and I have a little handy tool here. Just take some pliers and pull it through. It will save your fingers. Like really, don't be afraid to use some of this. It can be needle nose pliers, just something that grabs the needle and can pull it through. Okay. From time to time, if you use this length of thread, it can tangle a bit, but I think it is still pretty manageable. Okay, so I pulled it through the last hole. And now I'm going to grab both the signature and the cover. I'm gonna go over the cover and then through the first hole, but outside in, like this. And we really want this thread over the cover. Like this. I put this signature back so I could see the hole and show you very good how it's done. But now line up the fold of the signature with the edge of the cover again, because that's how it should be, and just pull the thread. And now simply just go back in to that hole of the signature. Just go back in and pull the needle through. Most of the time, the first time the needle has gone through, you don't need your pliers anymore. Okay, see this tangles up, but just don't pull too hard, and you can just detangle it and pull it through. Now, make sure every time you pull the thread, everything is clean and straight, so pull it tight enough, but not too tight, because otherwise you might have a book that will stand open all the time like this. Everything would stand open. Now I'm back through. These two are lined up. I don't have any excess cord anywhere, and now I'm gonna go through the second hole, inside out. Just gonna make sure all the thread, no, see, yeah, all the thread is straight. Okay, again now I'm not going to put my signature back forward. I did that the first time to really show what it's done. But now again, like in the first time, go under your cover into the second hole like this. It's best to open this up a little bit while you're doing this, so you can actually pull the needle through. Make sure the cord is tight, and then like this, close the signature again and get the thread between the signature and the back cover like this. The thread will be on this side. Now actually you can choose on which side, but this is just a lot easier. And now, yeah, it's actually good to be able to move this signature all the time, because now I am going to go in here again between the cover and the signature. I'm actually going to make a little loop around. So I'm gonna pull the thread through again. It's actually really easy. You just have to know when the needle goes where. That's the whole trick. And if you know that, that's great. So now I'm gonna close it again. And I actually just made a little loop around this thready here. And when I'm around, I'm just gonna go inside this hole again, the second hole from the signature. If you couldn't quite grasp it, no problem at all, because I'm gonna explain it again. So now we got back in the second hole, and we're going to go into the third hole. This side. Actually, the hardest parts are the ones on the covers, the front and the back cover. But actually, it's just following along. Okay, so I'm back out here. I'm sure everything is tight enough, I mean. And again, I'm gonna go under my cover into the hole. Flip this over so the needle can get through. Take all my thread through. It's not wire, it's thread. And then pull the thread again between the signature and the cover. And now it's back on the right of this little thread. And now I'm just going to loop around that thread and go back into that hole. So I'm gonna go between the cover and the signature. Open this up again. Pull all my thread through. Make sure there's nothing excess. And again, pull that here. Yeah, the first time you can easily pull your thread between these two from the side. With the next signatures, we really have to sew there. So, and I've made my loop, so I'm gonna go back into the hole again, just the same. And I'm going to do exactly the same with the next one, but I'm gonna show you. So, from the inside out, the next hole, it's a bit further, but that's all right. Inside out, then make sure everything is straight, then outside in, so from under the cover, the needle through, and then flip this over so the needle can actually get through. This, and then the thread between the signature and the cover, and then again here on the other side of this thread between the signature and the cover. Oops, to do that again. So again here. My needle keeps falling. Okay. Again. You've learned this in elementary school, Tine. Okay. I'm gonna get you. Yes, here it is. It's probably because the gap was a bit bigger. Okay. So, make sure it's kind of tight. And then just further loop around and back into the hole. Everything is tight, inside out. Then go from the back to the front. Everything is tight between signature and the cover, between the signature and the cover on the other side. Pull the thread again between the signature and the cover and back into the hole. And the last one just the same, through the hole, out. Always check. And then back to front through the hole, flip it over, between signature and the cover. Between the signature and the cover. Between the signature and the cover. And then normally you will go back into this hole like you did. But now take the next signature. Make sure it's facing the same direction, obviously, and just place it on top. And indeed, instead of going through the same hole like we always did, we go through the hole, the first hole of the next signature. So and pull the thread tight so these will line up again. And then go through the next hole outside, and the rest is actually just the same. Inside out, thread is tight, but instead of going around the cover, we go around this piece of thread, so in between the cover and the first signature. So I always like to go from right to left. So from the right side of this piece, I'm gonna go in, open the signatures just to make it a lot easier. Pull the thread and loop around the left side and come back forward. Pull. Yep. And then go back in the hole of the second signature. And what I just did, keep repeating it with all the signatures except the last one. Don't do the last signature yet, because we have to add simultaneously the front cover. So, next hole. I'm out again, and then right to left I'm gonna loop around this piece. Yeah, so I'm gonna open it just to make it a bit easier for me. You can use a curved needle if you like, then you don't have to open it up and close it up again, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go around, back out. And I'm really, with this one, going around the between the cover and the first signature, just to make sure. And then back in the hole of the second signature. Next hole, back out. It's tight, yes. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in between the cover and the first signature on the right side, open both signatures up, and I'm gonna go back out on the left side and close my two signatures again. And then back in the hole of the second signature. And the next hole. And then back between the cover and the first signature on the right side. In, pull the thread, and on the left side, back out. So I'm not gonna go through any holes, I'm just weaving around that thread, that's all. Yeah. And I'm back into the hole. And back out the last hole. Outside in between the cover and the first signature. Pull the thread and back out on the left side. And then again, instead of going through the first hole again, take your next signature, make sure it's positioned the right way, and go through that hole. I've gone through the next hole inside out. And now don't go with your needle through the gap of the cover and the first signature, but through the gap between the first and the second signature. Here, see? So find that place, pull the thread again and go back out on the left side. And this creates this beautiful braiding stitch, and then go back into the hole. So always so, and then the next hole back out. So, and when you keep adding these signatures, because in theory you can make like this really, really thick book, it's just the same process. Always make sure, except for in the beginning, make sure you have 2 signatures above and then go in between. So you always lift up 2 signatures like this. And back out, 2 signatures out. Back through the hole. Now, if your thread is too short or you don't like to sew with a long thread like I'm doing, here's a place where you can make a knot. So just go around here, so in between under this loop, and then just make a knot. I'm not going to do that because my thread is long enough. And then just start with the next hole. Again, like we started in the beginning, just take a thread, make a knot, and just start here from the inside out. So, gonna go back out. And just keep repeating this process until you have 5 signatures on top of this cover sewn in. So I've sewn in the cover and 5 signatures. The thread is becoming really short. This is going to be quite suspenseful. Let's see if I can still get there. I think I should just get there. So learn from my mistake, make the rope a bit longer than 60 inches. So where am I? I stitched the last hole, and normally I would go into the hole of the next signature, but since it's the last one, I'm actually going to add the front at the same time. So take both your first signature, because this is going to be the front of your book, and the front cover. And then first, so just lay them on top of each other so you can see what you're doing. First, go over the cover, outside in. I'm gonna keep it like this so you can see it better, and this way I can hold it better. So I threaded front to back through the cover hole. Then my thread is between the top signature and the cover. The top signature is completely loose. It's not sewn in at all yet. But first I'm gonna go around this little thread here. So I'm gonna go from left, so I'm gonna go from right to left again. And I basically made a little loop around this thread. And now I'm gonna go through this first hole in the signature. Outside in. And I'm gonna open up in the center of the first signature, or the last. Gonna get this thread through and go inside out through the next hole, this. Now, I'm gonna close this up again and make sure the thread is here, like this. I'm gonna pull thread a little bit. Now I'm gonna go outside in again, first through the cover. Gonna go in between here, between the gap of the first signature and the cover. And then I'm going to make a loop. I'm always going to keep 2 signatures above my needle. See? I'm gonna go in here, keep 2 signatures on top, lift up the cover and those 2 signatures, get my needle out, from the right to the left again, back out. Essentially we're doing the opposite that we did in the beginning. I think my thread is tangled a bit. Okay. And then when we're here, back through the hole, like this. And then go through the next hole, inside out. I'm gonna go flip the signature with the cover at the same time. It's a bit easier. Okay, and then I'm gonna go outside in through the cover only. And then bring my needle between the top signature and the cover. Back out on the right side again. And then again, keep 2 signatures on top of my needle. And go back inside. Flip the cover and the 2 signatures. Take my thread. And I'm gonna go back on the left side, back out. And back into the hole of the top signature inside. Now, it is very apparent my piece of thread is too short because we also need to cover these 3 widths. It's a bit silly because it's the last signature, but that's all right. I'm going to show you how to make a knot here and start another thread there. So what you're going to do is just loop under this last thread and then loop back in to make a knot. And I would actually make a double knot here. And then you can just cut this off. So, I'm gonna take a piece of thread, I'm gonna again make a knot. You can do this in any inside of the signatures, so no problem at all. So, I made a double knot. Thread my needle again, like this, and I just act as if nothing happened. Gonna go next through the hole inside out, and I'm gonna lift my cover simultaneously. So, out, so, and it's going to look like this. And now we're here. I'm gonna go on top of the cover outside in. I'm gonna pull my needle through this gap here on the right again, out. Line up, always see that you can line up the pages on the back. So, and now I'm gonna go back in, also on the right side, back in and keep 2 signatures on top of my needle. 2 and back out on the left side. And then pull my thread gently and through the middle hole of the signature back in. Next hole, back out. I always like to check if this thread is straight, and then over the cover, outside in, only the cover this time, and then go between the gap on the right side, go back in and keep 2 signatures on top. Go back out on the left side. Go back in through the hole. And then for the last one, again the same, get out through the hole. Make sure everything is straight. And then back in only the cover on the right side of the thread, back out. Make sure there are 2 signatures on top of the needle. Back in, 1, 2, and on the other side, back out, this way, and back through this hole. And the only thing you have to do now is, just like the way I finished this thread with a knot, I'm gonna do the same here. So I'm gonna take my needle, go under here, and just go back in this loop, and this way you will form a knot. And I'm just going to do that again to make a double knot. Like this. And snip off the excess. So, and this is the basic tutorial of how to do this Coptic stitch. Now, you will notice that the stitches on the sides look a bit different than the ones in the center. That is normal. There are ways to cover these up so they would look more like these stitches, but these are a bit harder to do, and I really wanted to keep this easy for you guys. So, and now you have a pretty book that opens up completely flat, and a beautiful back that shows, hey, I made this myself, but it's pretty cool. This particular Gratitude Junk Journal project pack also has 24 of these journaling cards. Now, we need a place to put these in our journal. And because I printed on 160 grams paper, it's fairly thick. So this is only half. These are only 12 cards and they are almost 1/8 of an inch thick, almost 3 millimeters. So I will have 2 packets of these when I cut them all out. So I'm going to make 2 envelopes. So I chose a paper with a pattern from this Junk Journal project pack, and I made sure it printed at 6 3/4 of an inch wide, or a little bit larger just to be sure. And when I printed that wide, the length is enough to make 2 pockets out of this. And then I printed something for the inside of the pockets. It's totally optional, you really don't have to do that. But I made sure it's like, instead of 6 3/4 of an inch wide, I made it 7 inch wide. So when I will cut out the front, it will be large enough. There will be no white edges. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out of this. Now, of course, you don't have to be as ink saving as I do. You can just print a paper on the front, paper on the back, and just cut out the pieces at the sizes I am now going to tell you. So the sizes that you want is the height to be 6 3/4 and the width 4 3/4. And I'm gonna cut these now. And I'm going to make the envelopes a bit boxy so they can actually hold the cards. And I'm going to attach these in the front cover. So I'm gonna show you with one. Now I'm gonna start by scoring a few lines, and it is easier if you have a scoreboard that scores in inches, because then you can have a scoring line every 1/8 of an inch. If you have a scoring board in centimeters, you only can score every 1/2 centimeter. So that's a bit trickier, but totally doable. If you don't have any scoring board, no worries. Just make the marks where the folds should go, and then use an empty pen or an embossing tool and a ruler to make the scoring lines. This is just a tad bit easier. Now on the long side, I want to score at 2.5 inch. I'm gonna tell this in centimeters in a minute. So 2.5 inch, and then 1/8 of an inch further, and then 3 inches further. Now the downside of inches is that's a bit hard to count, so I'm gonna use this line as a reference. So we had 2.5 inch, 1/8 of an inch further, 3 inches further, and again 1/8 of an inch further. In centimeters, that is 6.3 centimeters. Sorry, yeah, but 1/2 centimeter would be too much, etc. So, yeah. So 6.3, and then 3 millimeter further, and then 7.5 centimeter further, and then again 3 millimeter further, and you should have 2.6 centimeter left. And if you're working in inches, you should have 1 inch left. Now on the short side, I want to score on each side 3/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch further, and then on the other side as well. Oops, sorry. So that is 3/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch further. That's it. So in centimeter, that is 1 centimeter from each side, and then 3 millimeter further. Okay, this can go. So then take your scissors and cut in the innermost folding line, completely in to here. So up to the second line. And do that on the other side as well. So the inner line that you folded up to the second folding line that you made. And then cut these in as well. You can remove this, you don't need it anymore. This one as well. And do the exact same thing on the other side. So the inner fold up to the second line and cut these out. Ooh. We don't need these anymore. The last thing we're going to cut is we're going to cut kind of a triangle. It can be pretty deep from the side of this step on the 1 inch side, on the short side, very important, up to where the outer line starts. So from here to there. You can measure it if you want, because it's actually a really good idea to measure, because these need to be equal. Okay. I am definitely going to measure. So I did 1/2 inch actually. Wow, I'm a pretty good guesser. So I cut exactly 1/2 inch. I'm gonna cut 1/2 inch, make a mark 1/2 inch here as well. Now I'm gonna cut from the outer folding line to that mark there. You won't see this, you don't have to put this away. Okay, and now fold all the folds inward. Okay, so the box is gonna go like this, and this will be the flap on top. And this way it will be wide enough to hold exactly a packet of 12 cards. Now I'm going to glue these envelopes on the inside of the front cover. It can perfectly hold 2 of these, so that's great. So for the closure, since I'm going to glue these in anyway, I can glue a cord behind this envelope. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I haven't, take care, I haven't assembled it yet. So for the closure, you have seen me do this before. This is an offcut, something that I printed wrong. You can use any paper for this. This is just 160 grams of paper, and I'm going to make it thicker by gluing 3 of these on top of each other. So 3 these, so like this. I'm gonna use a bit of glue and just simply, like this, glue them on top of each other. If you like, you can definitely add some ink here. I'm not going to do that this time, because I haven't inked anything in this journal. And then I'm going to punch a hole exactly in the center. And I have a really colorful brad here. It's a small one. And I'm going to attach it on the top. Now, first I'm going to measure the center where I want it. So 3 1/4 inch. That is 1 7/8. And where do I want it? A bit lower. Yeah, I want my hole to be here. That's about 1/2 inch from the top. So no, it's actually, I think, 5/8 of an inch from the top. Gonna punch a hole here as well. And to attach this, you know, I have this little 1mm piece of cardboard. And I cut this shape out, just a rectangle. And this helps me to leave a gap between this circle and the envelope where the rope can be attached. So I'm gonna put this through the hole like this, but I'm also going to slide this in, and then I can really comfortably open these legs of this brad, this, and then just slide it out, and now there's a perfect gap for rope to be. Now, if you like, you can add another circle on top to hide these legs, of course. I'm going to first close this envelope, and I'm just going to add some double-sided tape here, here on this side, because if I do it on this side, there will be tape here, and I don't like that. So I'm just going to add some tape on the inside, just a straight piece. It's the same width as the tab. If you're this is 3/8 of an inch. You can use smaller tape as well, obviously. Same on the other side. And you can, of course, use glue as well. But then I would recommend to put the glue on the tabs and make sure you don't get too high with your glue. If you're using tape, remove the backings. And then carefully fold everything in and make sure these folds line up with the side of this tab. So make sure these two line up, and this way this envelope will be straight and not crooked. There. Same on the other side. Line up, line up, line up. It's the most important thing here. Like this. Then yeah, I'm gonna go in with my bone folder, because if I press it like this, I will squish the envelope, and I don't want to do that after all this work. So, like this. And now for the rope. I'm going to use the exact same rope that I used to sew this journal. So I'm gonna glue a fair bit behind the envelope and let it come out here, and then we can close it like this. Now, why am I gluing a fair bit and not just the end? Well, that's just security. That's the only reason. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to add no, I'm going to measure the center again, because that's important. Like this. You won't see it anyway. And then I'm going to add a piece of tape along the center. It doesn't really have to match up to the top and the bottom. And I'm going to rub it like this from the inside out, so otherwise I will squash it, and I don't want to do that. Remove the backing. Yeah, how much do I need? So I will need this, and then it will go around, and then on the top. Well, I'm gonna cut a piece of 12 inch just to be sure. This. And then I'm going to take one end and position it in the center, top to bottom. Now this is sticky, but that's all right. I'm gonna put it in there anyway. So this. And then we can safely close it. And obviously it's way too large. I am the kind of crafter that always has too much and instead of too little, but I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good way to go. So, but I'm gonna leave it for now because I'm going to add extra tape all around these 4 edges. Careful not to squish, especially when you're cutting this. Yeah, it's probably a better idea to actually cut these or tear these now instead of using my thingy. This is the first time it's not a good idea to use my thingy. The other thing you can do is actually put the cards already in the box so it will fill the box, but I'm just going to use an old pair of scissors, not my best pair of course, to cut this off for once, because this is not a good idea. So this and carefully. No, I'm gonna do it like I did before. I'm gonna use my bone folder to make sure these stick, and then easy remove the backing. Actually, I'm gonna put another piece of tape on top here so that the rope will be very well put down. This. Yeah. And now I have to put this in. I'm gonna lay this here. It's my journal. And I'm going to put it halfway between the edge of the inner cover and the holes, because that's the most sensible way to put it. And I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch on the top, like this. Okay, no way back. It's down, it's in there. There. And then these cards, these journaling cards with journaling prompts can go in there. And then we can close it like this, and I think this is enough. So what did I cut off? Like more than 3.5 inches. So 8.5 is probably enough. And the other one will come under here as well, but 1/2 inch from this, the bottom, of course, from the inner cover. So I added the second envelope exactly the same way, and it holds the other 12 journaling cards. Now, obviously, you can modify these pockets if you like, these envelopes. You can punch out half a circle here with a regular circle punch, and you can also use a decorative corner punch here to make these corners round or very pretty. You can do with this as you like. Now, if you close this, the journal closes perfectly. The only thing is, you can see the other pages get a bit squashed, but if you don't use anything thick in here, if you're not going to glue stuff in here, just use this as a writing journal, this will fit perfectly. It's okay. There's room enough. And your journal is ready. Because this is a more minimalistic and modern journal, I am going to leave the cover as it is, but of course you can embellish it as much as you like. And here's how the journal looks. It has 30 pages to write on. There are some assignments here and there, but for the majority of the part, you can write what you are grateful for on all the pages. And it is so worth it and so beautiful. On the embellishment pages, there are more embellishments that you can cut out and use, like frames and other journaling spots, but you can definitely use it as it is. I really hope you liked this tutorial and these beautiful Gratitude Junk Journal Project Pack printables. I hope the video inspired you to make your own journal, or if it just inspired you to start a gratitude journal, even if it's in a simple notebook. I am so happy. As you know, you can find these printables in our shop. I am very grateful that you watched this video, and I wish you a super beautiful day. Bye bye.